Hello everyone, my name is Dylan Finch, and I would like to thank you for coming today. There are countless ways that humans are impacting the world around them. Some are positive, but more often than not, they are negative. We as a species have placed our world on the precipice of disaster. The issue that will be the topic of discussion today is global warming, but more specifically, how humans have led to the overall increase of the world's temperature and altered its weather patterns. First, Joshua will talk about what is causing global warming, and then Dakota will be discussing some of the ways that we are trying to undo and reduce the damage that has been done by global warming.
Obviously, global warming is a very serious issue. In the 20th century, ocean surface temperatures have risen 1.5 degrees. Most of that concentrated after the 1980s. That doesn't seem like a whole lot, but realistically, that is a lot of energy to heat up that volume of water. Today, I'm going to talk about what's causing global warming, specifically the greenhouse effect, greenhouse gases, and the source of this pollution. First, the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect works a lot like a greenhouse, which obviously is where it got its name from. What happens is greenhouse gases collect in the atmosphere. When radiation from the sun comes to Earth, a lot of it is reflected off back into space. What the greenhouse effect does is it reflects some of this radiation back down to Earth, trapping the heat here, causing surface temperatures to increase. Most of this heat gets concentrated into the ocean. Next, greenhouse gases. There are many different types of greenhouse gases, such as CO2, N2O, and CH4, and many different types of refrigerants. The majority of the greenhouse gases are CO2, and this contributes to most of the heating effect of the greenhouse effect. There's also CH4, which, while in much lower concentrations, it contributes a significant amount to the effect because each molecule causes more radiation to be reflected back down to Earth than like a CO2 molecule. Lastly, the source of this pollution. Most of pollution comes from coal-fired power plants. And then the secondary source are automobiles. Obviously, the most greenhouse gases come from first world countries and started after the Industrial Revolution. So overall, I talked about the greenhouse effect, the greenhouse gases, and the source of the pollution.
So now that we know what caused the greenhouse effect, now let's take a look at some of the human response to the crisis at hand. First thing we'll look at is the alternative energies. The next thing we'll look at is where we are now. And then finally we'll look at the carbon emissions emitted by the top carbon emitting countries. So the first thing we'll look at is the alternative energy sources. And from this list you can see there are quite a few alternative energy sources that are at our disposal. The unfortunate part is most of these are still in their infancy. Most people are probably familiar with solar and wind power, which are very popular in the United States, but in Iceland, for instance, the geothermal is a very large renewable energy source which is being utilized. Next, we'll look at where we are now. This is a graph or a ranking showing the clean electricity produced per country. And as you can see, the United States is number one. And then after that is Germany, Spain, China, Brazil. Now the exciting part is that China is actually starting to get on this list, which is the biggest carbon emission producer of the country, which we'll see in this next slide. Looking at carbon emissions, China and the USA are 2/3 of the world's carbon emissions. So even though it might be exciting to have 24% being clean energy, that's not very much of 80 billion metric tons of carbon being emitted into the air each year. So you can see there's a long way we still have to go.
Global warming is a major issue in today's society. It is not just an America problem, and it is not just a problem for our generation. It is something that we need to consider for the future and consider for the world as a whole. Now that we've discussed how global warming is happening and what is being done to prevent it in the future, I hope everyone here will think more about global warming in the future. On behalf of myself, Joshua, and Dakota, I'd like to thank you for your time and attention.